The Eagles beat the Cowboys 24-20 in Week 1 in a big divisional win to start the season. Coy Camiscioli for Philly Sports Talk here, going to break down the game for you. Again, Eagles, almost said the Phillies, a big win here. You know, it's kind of interesting to see how impactful these early divisional games are in the season, and they do pay dividends come later in the year, as we will remember this game, especially if the Eagles can find a way to beat Dallas in Dallas later on in the season, which is, I believe, Week 12. But we'll talk about this game. I wanted to start out with this. Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field in this game. For the most part, it looked like Dallas was trying to prevent the deep ball, and they were really limiting what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were doing in their route running, which was also Ken Patullo's fault, and we're going to get into that as well, and how I feel about the coordinating on the offensive side. But they were working with the QB spies and hoping that they could contain Jalen Hurts rushing. If A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were not really getting open, they couldn't contain him. Jalen Hurts had a couple big-time runs, and I'll get into that in a second. It seemed like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were just not open in this game. And it does bring a little concern for me on the coordinating part. I thought that Ken Patullo and the Eagles looked really good early on. The offense looked pretty lethal. That first half, obviously, they were firing on all cylinders. But I did see some people break down some film on YouTube and stuff like that of, mirrored route trees of the Eagles. Kind of just, there wasn't anything open on two guys running out routes and posts to the sidelines. And then there's a couple plays where just the middle of the field is just completely wide open, and there's nobody running routes in the middle of the field, or there's just too much bunch route running going to one side of the field, and all these guys just are taking up too much space. It's just leaving things too easy for Dallas to guard, and it's just forcing Jalen Hurts to scramble. So I am a little concerned. Definitely, it is Week 1, so I'm not that concerned. The Eagles obviously still got the win against a solid team in Dallas, but it's something to monitor looking forward. Jalen Hurts in this game, he finished 19 of 23 completions, 152 yards, but 14 carries, 62 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, that is, on the rushing side. Did a great job with his legs, finding the end zone, also converting on the 4th down to ice the game for the Birds. So, great stuff there. It was a great performance. I feel good moving forward, Jalen Hurts. We definitely want to see AJ and Smitty involved moving down the line, but I think we'll figure things out, even if it's not as good as Kellen Moore with the Eagles last year. So, Jahan Dotson, he led the receivers with 3 receptions for 59 yards off a big 51-yard catch, which was also a great throw. One of the lone times that we saw some spacing for receivers in this game. Dallas Goedert, he got a lot of underneath passes, catching 7 passes for 44 yards, and I think that was because of what was happening downfield in coverages for the Cowboys and what I think was not the best route running for the Eagles or play calling. So Devontae Smith, just 3 receptions for 16 yards. A.J. Brown, just 1 reception for 8 yards. Not good there. Rushing game, honestly, wasn't insanely good for Saquon Barkley. It was a good game, but not a Saquon game. 18 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, 4 receptions for 24 yards to go along with that. Had a couple big plays, including a big stiff arm, but Saquon could obviously break out for a home run touchdown that might even just be 60 yards alone. So nothing insane there. The Eagles did a good job rushing the ball, over 150 total rushing yards. So last important note offensively for me is Jake Elliott looked really good. He had a 58-yard field goal going to the half, which kind of changed the game entirely. Definitely changed it, actually. So good stuff from Jake Elliott. Actually, one or two more notes in the offense. Landon Dickerson, he did lead the game early with a back injury, and this one is concerning because he was a problem at the end of last year with his injury in the lower back and in training camp. He obviously had to get surgery on that knee, and he also went into this game with a designation originally with the lower back. He came off the injury report Monday or Tuesday, I believe. So if we need to rest him for a week, we need to do it. We do not want to risk a long-term injury. This lower back has been lingering for a little while now for Landon Dickerson. So other injury news, Ben Van Sumeren, he went down with a torn patella tendon off the opening kickoff. He would have been our fullback, but obviously that sucks. That really does suck for any guy. Obviously, he's not one of the crucial players for this team, but he's one guy on our 53-man roster, and you don't want to see that for anybody. That just stinks. So we'll get into the defensive side now, though, and we need to address the elephant in the room that is Jalen Carter. We know he is a crash out, and we all saw Dak Prescott spin in his general direction first, but that does not excuse Jalen Carter at all. I do not care what Dak Prescott did before that. It was bad. It was embarrassing. I will always back my guys in the Eagles. But this was completely inexcusable, and he could have cost us the game. And again, as I mentioned early on, those big divisional games, they mean something down the line, seriously. So this was embarrassing. Now we're gonna have to live with that rep that people are gonna give us and call us the rest of the season, the rest of next year, whatever it may be. Oh, Jalen Carter did this. It's just so sickening that we have to deal with all that crap. And Jalen Carter did not help us out with this. It was just completely inexcusable. So I did find it kind of interesting how Dak didn't take a little bit of ownership. He was obvious. He kind of just downplayed the whole thing and said that he wasn't really doing anything, nor coming at him. Dak definitely was egging him on and kind of like taunting him, whatever you want to call it. But again, doesn't excuse what Jalen Carter did. But I thought Dak kind of, I don't know, his interview is weird to me. So regardless, one of the best interior D linemen in the league, out for this game from the start. But Jordan Davis, he stepped up big time in this win, played a lot more snaps than usual. That was good to see. So we did shut them out in the second half, but the problem is the cornerback 2 position is not good. Adoree Jackson was torching this game. Granted, a lot of routes were against CeeDee Lamb, but he wasn't even close on some of them. So that's a problem. We saw Ja'Cory Bennett come in and didn't really do too much either. It's a shame because Kelee Ringo should have had this position won if he performed in training camp, but sometimes guys just don't pan out, and Kelee Ringo has not so far. On the plus side, though, the linebackers, Zach Ball and Jahad Campbell looked amazing. Campbell played 92% of snaps and had 3 total tackles, one forced fumble, 1 pass deflection, 1 reception, allowing 1 reception for -3 yards. So great job from Jahad Campbell. He looked polished. He did not look like a rookie in this game. And it's great to know that Nakobe Dean's lurking, coming back maybe by week 5 or week 6. But this proves that he also can, doesn't have to risk injury and can come back when he's healthy. So Nakobe Dean, Zach Ball, and Jahad Campbell will be a top-notch linebacker core when healthy. Great stuff there. Zach Ball, too, he led the team with 9 total tackles, including 1 tackle for loss and a pass deflection. So good stuff there. We did see Andrew Mukuba play a lot in this game. Nothing crazy happened for me, though, to note from Mukuba. So Quinyon Mitchell, he did not have his best game in this one, which is okay. He wasn't necessarily a bad game, and obviously this is a talented Dallas wide receiver room. But he had a couple pass interference calls, or maybe one and one other one that could have been called, and a couple plays where he was just beat by the receivers. So it's all right, though. He showed off his speed in this game, though. We'll just have to see what happens with Quinyon down the line. He's going to be fine, though. But, maybe he was even better when we had another corner that's locked down on the team, even though Darius Slay wasn't necessarily locked down last year, but in the postseason, I'd say he was. But Darius Slay right now would obviously feel like a better option than what's going on at the cornerback 2 position at the moment. So, in terms of the defensive front, though, we had no pressure on Dak Prescott the whole game pretty much. Obviously, Jalen Carter being out had something to do with that. Special teams, Braden Mann, he did a great job of not letting Cavante Turpin make returns, and he pinned Dallas deep a couple times. And on the Dallas side, CeeDee Lamb, he had some crucial drops that could have changed things, but he couldn't hold them in. And you can't just say that if he caught those, they would have won. We could have said that for some other things with the Eagles, and that wouldn't have happened. Overall, though, it was a big-time win. Any divisional win, especially in Week 1, is huge. So, Howie Roseman is not done, though. This is the second part of this episode. Za'Darius Smith signs a 1-year, $8.25 million deal with the Eagles. Well, that's the maximum potential earnings. It's a $4.25 million base salary. In 17 games last year, he had 9 sacks and 17 QB hits. He's coming in as depth on the edge to put more pressure on QBs after what just happened with Dallas. So 9 sacks, 17 QB hits in 17 games. You'd think he probably would have been signed by now. So obviously, any player that's being signed at this moment is not like an insane addition, but the 9 sacks do speak for themselves, and anything, to get some depth on the edge, to put some more pressure on quarterbacks would be nice. So the corresponding move with this, Ben Van Sumeren, with his injury, he's being placed on the season-ending IR, so that freed up a roster spot to allow us to sign Za'Darius Smith. I like the move. Again, it's nothing major. It's not a Super Bowl winner. Maybe. That would be awesome. But, it's a good move for some depth, and I feel good about the Eagles moving forward. So, other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I got. Eagles, they play the Chiefs in Week 2 on the road this Sunday at 4:25. We'll have a preview out later in the week, probably coming out Friday, and we'll have a recap coming out the day or two after that. So, keep on the lookout. The Eagles start 1-0. I'm feeling good already as an Eagles fan, but We need to figure out the offensive coordinating. We need to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith more open and going from there. I feel good right now, though. So, Eagles win. They're 1-0. Go Birds.